welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new here. So today, let's just get right into it. Today, I want to talk about inner conversations and how they can mess up your manifestation. Well, there's no really like messing up, but let's say delaying or, making you maybe worried and getting you off track and all those kinds of things. This is actually something that a subscriber on TikTok of mine kind of asked me about, so thank you for that. So if you are new here, I do a lot of manifestation content. If you like this kind of content, please make sure you like, subscribe, do all the good things, and let's get right into it. Sorry, I am also cat sitting. No, not this one. This one's mine. But if you hear any like cat toy noise or whatever in the background, just ignore it, or like hissing. We've been loving and hating each other at the same time, as you can tell by the face. If you don't know what inner conversations are, so if you are someone who thinks in words or affirmations, in that case, sometimes, and I have this a lot, where if we do something like where we're not paying attention, our mind can just run away. Sometimes I even find that we do it on purpose, but we don't mean to, right? Let's say you're upset with somebody and you didn't really address it in person the way you wanted it to, but then you're by yourself and you're thinking about the situation and you're like, damn, I wish I would have said this, or you're starting to actually have a conversation with them and repeat the things in your head or out loud that you actually would have liked to say, or, would have said under different circumstances, whatever the case may be. Those are inner conversations. Whenever you are talking to somebody directly in your mind, or if they're not in front of you, even if you are not getting a response back from them, okay? There's still inner conversations if you are just the one addressing them through like a monologue. And so I find that this really, really happens a lot with like people who are neurodivergent, because we just, our brain is just in overdrive all the time. And sometimes, like I said, we tend to literally fall into that without even realizing that it's happening. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips that I find really helpful if this is something that does happen to you, because it really doesn't have to delay your manifestation in any way, shape, or form. So the first thing I would do is don't guilt trip yourself, okay? If it does happen, it happens. I fully understand, but what I normally then do, which I find very helpful, is when I catch myself, even if it's, let's say it's gone on for a while, right? You just rampaged about it and you've been so upset about things. I stop myself and then I'm like, okay, but wait a minute. It's okay. This is old. We don't need this anymore. Literally just tell yourself you don't need to have this quote unquote conversation anymore because the situation has changed. You're not in the same spot you used to be anymore. You can move on from this. Because sometimes we do this with situations that have literally come and gone. Sometimes I think about something that is maybe like a year old and I haven't, seen this person, talked to this person, or even if it's just a general situation, something that has no relevancy to my life anymore. And I still get upset about it and think about it and, oh, I wish I would have stood up for myself more. I wish I would have, dealt with this differently. That is a normal inner conversation you can have. So if you are having a conversation that directly affects your manifestation today, it wouldn't be too far off for you to say, but wait a minute, I'm really not in this place anymore. It doesn't pertain to me anymore. This person doesn't act this way anymore. I don't need to be upset about it any longer. And then you can either redirect the inner conversation or just tell yourself, hey, your brain, hey, it's fine. We're good. We don't need to think about this anymore. Let's think about something else. You can literally tell your brain what to do. Like, stop letting your brain tell you what to do. That's not how it should work. I understand that's how we've been conditioned, but normally not how it works. So that would be tip number one. Tip number two is you could literally start affirming that any and all inner conversations that you are having that are negative or unproductive to what it is that you're actually consciously affirming for do not manifest. So I'll give you an example. So I know of somebody who, for example, maladaptive daydreams, and they are literally using their maladaptive daydreaming to manifest. But then I was also talking to somebody else who is also maladaptive daydreaming, and they literally affirmed that their maladaptive daydreams do not manifest. They do that for a reason, because they just want to go off into their maladaptive daydream in a way where they're just completely disconnected from reality altogether. So that does not manifest. One maladaptive daydream is very, very close to actual inner conversations, where the other one is literally just a daydream. That's why some people manifest some things and others don't, even if they use the same technique, because it highly, highly depends on where is your subconscious belief at when it comes to these kinds of techniques. And I've talked about this before, that visualization is something that never worked for me, but then there was one point where I was like, no, I'm going to give this a try. And I affirmed for a couple of days that visualization does work for me. I visualized a small scene, and when it happened, it literally happened down to the smallest, most mundane detail that I visualized, to the point where I literally couldn't even process it until after it happened. I was like, wait a minute, is this really happening? And I almost couldn't believe it, because it was so down down to the most minute detail. So it really, really highly depends on where is your subconscious at. We all know that if we are thinking about something for too long, it does tend to become, you know, a habit and an assumption essentially. So, but being afraid of it does not an assumption make, okay? If you're afraid that your inner conversations are manifesting, but you really don't have that belief because, let's say, for example, you have literally no tangible evidence or proof in a 3D reality that ever happened to you, you can sit with that fear regardless and say, okay, I'm afraid of this because I just want my manifestation really bad and I'm doing everything I can, but I know the past has shown me, which by the way could be like, you know, point number 3, the past has literally shown me that no inner conversation of mine has ever manifested anything bad for me, so why would it be this time around? No, my inner conversations do not manifest in a negative way. Now, if you are someone, for example, who is, let's say you're manifesting an SP and you're having inner conversations and you're thinking, well, but there is no movement, so how can I say that there's no proof in the 3D reality that it's not affecting me because there's no movement? I see no movement. First of all, there's always movement in the background. And second of all, we always put so much faith in the negative instead of just putting faith in the positive. If you are not seeing any movement, there's literally no proof that your inner conversations are affecting your manifestation negatively. Sure, you have no proof that they're affecting it positively, but that comes from the same standpoint. Like, you have both the negative and the positive, but you are choosing to believe in the negative versus the positive, even though you're both starting, like, they're both the same distance away from you and you're in the middle of it. So you're literally making that conscious decision to believe that they're affecting you negatively when you could just affirm, even if you don't believe it in the beginning, that they're affecting it positively, and no movement just means movement in the background, and you're going to see movement any minute now, which is also something you can affirm for. So that's something that I also find really helpful. The last tip I could give you is, if you are someone who tends to have a lot of inner conversations that tend to be more negative, oftentimes that obviously comes from the assumptions that we hold. But we know that assumptions are being replaced through repetition. So what could you do? You could just start having conscious inner conversations that are actually really positive. Or there's 2 more things you could do. You could have a conversation with somebody in real life who, it doesn't matter if they know about manifestation. Let's say they're a friend who just hypes you up for whatever. Have a positive conversation with them about what it is you're manifesting in a way that you want it to manifest, for example. And then replay that conversation over and over in your head. You can script it out. Now, this is not my most favorite thing to do, and I wouldn't necessarily lean on it all the time, but ChatGPT is actually a really great thing to use as well. If you are someone who needs to have it in writing, who needs to see it, but who also needs to believe that there's, you know, someone giving you feedback, ask ChatGPT to have a conversation with you as the person that you are trying to manifest. And again, we all know SP could be literally anybody. Like, it could be a family member, a friend, a boss. Absolutely doesn't matter. Use ChatGPT and literally tell them, this is how the person that I'm trying to have a text conversation with would talk, act, whatever the case may be, and then go and, you know, have a conversation with me like that. Because I actually had someone test it out the other day and it worked really well. Like, I was a little bit scared, I'm not gonna lie, how accurate ChatGPT was, just in terms of just how much essence they were able to catch from the person that they were trying to get a conversation from. So it really helped them get into a really, really good place. ChatGPT can also write out scenarios for you or fake inner conversations for you as almost like a script, if you will. So if you are someone who doesn't really want to do the work, because I understand sometimes it can give you anxiety, which, please remember, anxiety is just your brain fighting you. It's not actual real anxiety that you're not going to get what you want. That's not it. Your brain is meant to keep you safe. If you are starting to change something, your brain is like, wait, is that going to keep us safe? I don't think so, because I don't have any proof of that. So let's go back to the old, okay? You need to push through that anxiety. I'm going to make a separate video about anxiety, probably pretty soon, just like an updated one. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to you taking the reins in this situation and not allowing your brain to just run away with you. Because inner conversations can absolutely manifest. They do manifest. I've, had so many people tell me how their inner conversations manifested, or how they've had inner conversations and the people came and literally told them hey, we had a conversation in the 5D. I mean, I've talked about this before. I was in a long distance marriage for a long time, and that's how we communicated when we couldn't actually communicate. So it is a real thing that can manifest. And if you have been having negative conversations in the past, please, for the love of God, do not beat yourself up. You start fresh from the moment you see this video and apply what I just told you. Do not think, oh my God, I've been having these for so long, now I need to do all of this work to catch up on it and get it right and make it better. No. you're starting today. Everything you've done before that you deemed as negative does not apply, or you can even revise and say, hey, actually everything I've done before was positive in a way that it led me to this video, it led me to my manifestation, like it actually helped me understand better where my mind is at, and it helped me now shape the inner conversations I do want to have so I can get it even faster. So there's so many ways where you can frame this in a more positive way. And I saw a post on Instagram, I think a couple days ago, I actually reposted it, where they said this is just paraphrasing because I really don't remember the exact quote, but basically saying every situation is neutral and it only has positive or negative meaning because this is what you give it. So, and just a little like side rant, I saw this news clip of this girl, young college girl, or high school, I think she was high school or college, and she got into the wrong car by accident, and trigger warning, if you're not into true crime or whatever, you can skip this. But this person was like really upset for some reason, and then when she got out, she got shot. And she gave an interview a couple weeks after and said that they told her at the hospital she's never going to be able to play her sport again. She might not ever be able to walk. And she was like, okay, whatever. But in my head, I was like, screw all of y'all. I got this. And I think it was like 2 or 3 months or something after this incident happened where she was like, I'm starting to train for my sport again. I'm walking. I'm doing great. I did not care what the doctors said. I was not listening to them. I knew exactly that I was going to recover and come out stronger from this, even though the medical professionals told her that it wasn't a possibility, like the chances of that happening. They basically told her was slim to none from what I remember. It's been a long time since I've seen this. You know, I've even seen it in my own personal life where people had surgery and, for example, they were like, oh my God, it's gonna go so bad, like nothing good ever happens to me. And they needed revision surgery like 5 times because they kept thinking this over and over again, where other people had the same surgery by the same doctor. And yes, those were medical surgeries, not plastic surgeries. And they came out perfectly. There was nothing wrong with them. Nothing needed to be changed or fixed. So was it the doctor who had a really good track record, or was it maybe the one person that was literally the outlier amongst everybody else that continuously needed revision because they had this really negative mindset? Say hi to Chewbacca. Hello. He's my little baby. He's my special little guy. It really does depend on your mindset in every situation. Even if things happen to you that are really, really bad, it is up to you to give it the meaning that you want. And that doesn't mean that you don't have to feel the pain. You can still feel the pain. You can cry through it. You can be upset through it. That there's nobody should tell you that you're not allowed to feel your pain. But once you are done feeling the pain, you need to ask yourself, okay, but is this the way I want to live for the rest of my life? Do I want to sit with this pain forever, or do I just want to change something about my life and actually find happiness and value, and maybe even turn this into a good situation for me, for other people, whatever the case may be? And there is also no time frame on this. If it takes you a long time to do it, then do it. I'm not saying you have to I'm not trying to push toxic positivity and say, oh, you have to do this and just ignore it. No, if it takes you years, it takes you years. I literally had this conversation with somebody yesterday where they were telling me about, somebody who was having issues, and they're like, well, what can I manifest? And I'm like, well, you need to manifest some health, but I understand where they came from because I knew somebody in the exact same situation and it took them 10 years to get better. Sometimes it just takes some time. Sometimes it doesn't. But I do know that inner conversations especially are a really good way for a lot of people who are going through things like that, who don't have somebody to talk to maybe, to let out their anger, let out their frustration, or even get dopamine, right? If you're having positive conversations, that is also a thing. So if that is something you need to do, then do it. If you are worried it's going to affect you, then just manifest that it doesn't affect you, that it's just a venting tool for you that is making you feel better, and that you're going to do it as long as you need to until you get to a better place where you can manifest an overall better situation in the 3D. Okay? If you guys have any more questions, please feel free to leave a comment down below. If you're not following me on my other socials, TikTok is my main platform. I'm going to try and be a little bit more on here. I know I say that all the time, but been a stressful couple weeks, stressful couple months, lots to do, mostly in my house and all that. So still in the middle of renovating. I know it takes forever. I'm doing it by myself right now. So it's been very, very draining, but very rewarding at the same time, Anyway, I will see you guys in the next video, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.